So I just recently just got out of Bugonia, which is the latest film from Yorgos Lanthimos, which I really do like him as a director because he's made a lot of films like The Favorite, Poor Things, Kinds of Kindness, The Lobster, all kinds of movies that I really like from him that has a certain style that I really like that's really weird, very out there, but also very different and refreshing to see, while also giving great performances throughout the film. And so with this film, I was a little late to the game just because there are people who have made up their minds. A lot of people really like this movie, and some people didn't really care for it, but they just thought it was okay. And I am one of those people who actually didn't love the movie, but it is not my favorite film, which we'll get into later, as the story does surround Jesse Plemons' character who thinks that his boss, the CEO, is an alien. He's trying to prove otherwise alongside his cousin, who I also think is a really good actor too. That this is the first time seeing him in a film, and I think he has a great sense of vulnerability. Who's trying to figure out the situation, while also trying to learn about the Drummond alien species as well, because his cousin is super into the Drummond species and all that stuff, and he genuinely believes that Emma Stone's character is an alien. So they kidnapped her, and then they trying to like prove otherwise, will also like get her to contact the mothership. So with Emma Stone's character, she was also really good too, and she tries to de-escalate the situation. She does try to keep it cool, keep it reserved, and just keep things in a professional standpoint. That way she won't get hurt or anything like that. And I think she did a great job while also being very realistic and being very afraid of the situation going on. And with this movie being like a dark humor, absurdist film, there are a lot of films that did get very dark at times and absurd that are really funny that leads to some great effects throughout the film. And for this to be a remake of the South Korean version called Save the Green Planet, it does make me curious to want to watch the original film because I really love me some South Korean films. And with this one, I thought this was a very interesting challenge from Yorgos Lanthimos to tackle because I don't think he's ever remade a film before, so this is, let alone a Korean film. So this was a very interesting challenge for him to tackle of him and writer Will Tracy from The Menu. I think they are a great duo together that made something very, very interesting out of the story that dives into humanity in a way, being very negative, how people treat each other like very poorly and just think the worst of each other. That the director, I could definitely feel like the director was feeling some form of way towards humankind that is not been all that positive or in a way healthy, but he has a very interesting way expressing his feelings out in art form of how he feels about humankind in a way that in a way it does feel genuinely sad, but also like kind of a horror film too in some points, while still making it very funny and very absurd. While throughout the film, I was pretty engaged, and most of it does take place in Jesse Plemons' house, and and it leads to some misdirections going on. That does make me wonder, like, if this is going this way or if this is going that way. That I do think it's pretty done well for the most part. But I will say, I think once it got to the final act, I was starting to pick it up, and I was like, okay, I think I know exactly where it's gonna go, or at least what the reveal is, because I have a feeling, even though there's some great character moments going on, and the mystery was very interesting. And then you get like this cop character that just keep coming back here or there, that also have that interesting revelation about Jesse Plemons' character as well. And the soundtrack was also really good. It has a good framework of this film, that there are some shots you could definitely tell that it does lead to the absurdist nature of it that is really, really interesting to see, and leads to expect from a Yorgos Lanthimos film. And the writing by Will Tracy, like I said, good misdirection, and there's like really great dialogue going on that keeps it very interesting, somewhat grounded. That there's a lot of interesting character revelations about Jesse Plemons, Emma Stone, and his cousin, that they're all like three-dimensional, and that I just want to see how this was gonna go. And then like when we get to like the ending, it was a very interesting ending, and there was like some crazy things that happened as well that I'm not gonna get into it, but it was just really interesting how it's played out. Despite the fact I kind of figure out like where it's leading without even like knowing anything while going into this film. So overall, I do think that Bugonia is not my favorite film from Yorgos Lanthimos, but it is quite an amazing film with great performances, great writing, a great soundtrack, just great cinematography, that just progressively gets crazy and crazy. That I'm just like very invested where it's going, and I like it when it gets crazier and crazier without losing the sense like realism, or at least losing the audience grasp of the seriousness of the matter, despite being very absurd. So for overall, I give this movie a 9 out of 10. It's definitely worth a watch. And if you made this far in the video, I hope you really like this video. Leave a like, leave a comment, and like I want to hear your thoughts of the film in terms of what you think of the film, or also what's your favorite Yorgos Lanthimos film, because my favorite is Poor Things, actually. So hope you like this video, and take care.